Hello and welcome back to another video. This time I'm inking this little crypt keeper, a character I've actually wanted to draw for a while now. If you don't know who the crypt keeper is, he's kind of the host of a show called Tales from the Crypt that aired between 1989 and 1996 in the US, and the series is based on the EC comic books from the 1950s. This piece is actually a rendition of a poster I saw a while ago on the Bus Invaders channel, where they were getting a tour inside of the Wednesday 13 bus, and I remember them having all these 70s, 80s fan-made movie posters hanging around, like the Pumpkinhead, Friday the 13th, and so on. But they also had this really cool looking black and white Crypt Keeper poster that stuck in my mind, and I really wish I knew the artist's name so I could credit them and potentially buy this poster from them. But unfortunately I don't. What I'm drawing today isn't a replica of this poster, but more a memory-based inspired piece with a little comic-style twist, I would say. What mainly got me back into the Tales from the Crypt series was me starting to read the Goosebumps series for the first time, and I know it's technically a children's book series, but I have to mention that I wasn't even born when all this was published, and I don't think it was that popular or accessible where I'm from. I love the originality of the stories and the anthology aspect of it. I think it's interesting how popular anthology series have become again anyways, especially in horror. Like we have American Horror Stories, now Guillermo del Toro's Chamber of Curiosities on Netflix, Black Mirror, Love, Death, Robots, and so on. I've always loved short stories and anthologies because they are very limited in the information they are giving you, meaning you'll have to complete the bits and pieces that are missing with the help of your own imagination, which I think is the only thing that can allow this amount of originality. Also, I feel like the Goosebumps cover art has this ironic cheesiness about it that resembles the Crypt Keeper and the campy, witty side of the series. And I think if you like one of these, there's a really high possibility you'll love the other one as well. So this was in the first hand meant for practice only and getting more comfortable with a brush. And I finally bought a more expensive and more professional brush, which is something I always try to avoid and resist, because I usually don't think that the tool makes the artist, and art products can be so expensive anyways, and I'm a student, I can't afford all of that. This is a Windsor & Newton brush. I think it's series 7 size 3, I think, and it is for me personally a total game changer. I've fallen absolutely head over heels in love with this brush, and I honestly can't tell you exactly why I like this brush so much, but I'm just able to work way better and precise with it than I was with any other brush before. So I'm using this Windsor & Newton brush, also some deleter ink and some Canson Bristol paper. I've actually never heard of Bristol paper before. I've never really thought about my paper choices that much. As long as the ink didn't bleed, I was fine with the paper. And I was also never really taught on different paper types. Before, I've been using plain watercolor paper, which in retrospect was not the smartest idea because it's so textured that every line ends up being crooked and clean line work is not possible. Then I learned about Bristol paper, and it turned out to be my second love after the new brush. And it's basically the opposite of watercolor paper in the sense that it's so smooth and it's almost impossible to fuck up your lines because of its smoothness. If you really want to get into inking and drawing comics, I really recommend the Bristol paper. I just want to talk a little bit about my work process real quick. I usually start out sketching on cheap copy paper just because my sketches are really messy and it's usually the most heated part of the process. Like, it's on the verge of rage mode sometimes, and contrary to the inking part, which is really calming and more fun. So when I get my sketch, it's time to get out the expensive paper and my light board to transfer the sketch. These light boards vary a lot in price range. I have this really cheap LED board in A4 size from Amazon, which tends to do its job fine. I'm thinking about getting a bigger one, but if you don't want to spend money, you can just carefully use your laptop screen, or if you're really old school, you can use your window. And when I transferred the sketch, I start inking. I dilute my ink with a little bit of water, so it's even smoother, although it's still hard for me to get the perfect ratio. Before getting into the real drawing, I always test how much ink I have on the brush on another piece of paper. And at the same time, I try to pointen the tip of the brush by making a long, slow brush stroke and lightly rotating the brush as I go. I was surprised on how well this drawing was going, considering I just started out with this brush, and I was able to accomplish pretty confident lines, I think. But then I got to the left eye. I don't know why I always tend to do this, and I've seen myself at this stage on multiple occasions where I start to doubt myself and start to do this really delicate and fine hatching, which I just personally don't like for my style. I don't think it really fits in with the rest of the drawing, and it just looks really indecisive and as if I'm afraid of black areas on here. It takes from the expression a lot. So during this process, you can see me first of all trying to slightly match the rest of the shading on the face to the fine hatching under the left eye to make it look a little bit more cohesive. But on the other hand, I'm going back in from time to time, trying to eliminate the hatching by covering it up with more black, which unfortunately gave him a little bit of a black eye. I wanted to put the focus on the face. That's why I tried to keep the hair very simple and minimal to make the white forms stand out bright on the dark background I'm going to add later. From the neck downwards, I'm keeping my brush strokes fairly simple, especially on the hands. I'm using very diluted ink here on a pretty dry brush. And I'm just sketching the hands in just so much that you can see that this is what they are hands. Also, the hands from the Crypt Keeper are pretty rotten, and in the reference picture I was using, you can't see them too well. So keeping it simple covers up from not really being able to get all the details in, and it also draws attention to the detail of the face. In the end, you can see me just adding some white spatter with some acrylic ink to make this piece look a tad more old and a little bit nasty, just to fit the theme. So this is the final drawing. I really hope you enjoyed watching me draw this and hearing me talk about all kinds of stuff, and I hope I see you in the next one. Bye!